Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Akim. Your brother Rutters Allah from GMS London Camp. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and blessings unto the hopeful and sincere elect. More shameful spewings upon these Edomites, man, these so-called white people. Stained history, man, of ill-gotten gains. And now they're, the chickens are coming home to roost, so to speak. And they're being exposed, man. Bare exposés, especially from the death of this Queen Lizzie II over here in the UK, exposing their ill-gotten gains history, man. Exposing how they got rich, or generational wealth, if you want to call it that. But it was all through theft, robbery, and murder, man. John 10 and 10, the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and to destroy. And what does the scripture say about that? Woe unto you that increaseth that which is not his, man. So this is just a quick expose, more, more fiery darts, should I say, spiritual dart shot being sent on these devils, these so-called white people, exposing their history, man. Starting with the so-called Great Britannia, British Empire, man. That spans how many centuries, and Queen Lizzie II, she just came into the latter part of it, even though she wasn't at the beginning of it. But her family line goes back to those slave owners, man. The Great Britain, the British Empire capitalized off slavery, greatly, man, more than any country really, man. They started a whole banking system based off the slave trade, and America was birthed from Great Britain. That's in Jeremiah the 50th chapter, man. The mother should be so confounded. We're gonna get the precepts in a second. I'm gonna make this too long, but this is a quick map. This is the countries that have gained independence from the UK. So this is when the reign of the Great British Empire was, still in charge, so to speak, before America took over, man. Like all these countries, man, that gained their independence from the onslaught of the British Empire, man, the colonization. And these devils think they're just gonna get away scot-free from what they did to the children of Israel, which is you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, because they made great exports and imports based off the slave trade, man. And that's well-known, documented facts in history, and they're still living off that generational wealth to this day. They leave their substance onto their babes. And, women, ladies, or, whatever you want to call her, like Queen Lizzie II, she lived off those traits, man. She's passed on living off, giving her substance onto her babes. King Charles III, he's sitting in the ruling class, he's sitting in the throne right now, and he's ready to, unleash untimely hell on new tribes once again, just like they did during the slave trade, man. And that's never going to be forgotten, man. This is part of the shameful spewings. This is part of their history. This is why it's so perfect that Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, he's a master, man, in exposés, man, and bringing forth that judgment in a timely fashion, because all of a sudden, as soon as this old bad Queen Lizzie II dropped dead, all this history is being resurfaced, man. They're coming back out. Not everyone's in a celebration type mood in regards to this Queen dropping dead. You got the Irish and a lot of them celebrating the death of the Queen and all that, and they're happy that she's dead, because of their history going back how many centuries ago, and over in England as well, Great Britain, UK. There's a lot of people not sighing and crying for this damn Edomite devil that dropped dead. There's a lot of people starting to wake up and smell the coffee that this devil is a straight up a family of comes from a family line of colonialists, a bunch of thieves and robbers, man. They got a whole bunch of jewels and gems that they've stolen from over there in West Africa. That now the West Africans are starting to ask for them back, and they're not going to get them back because it's the devil that the Bible speaks of. Then you got all these Commonwealth nations, Barbados, and Jamaica, and so on and so forth. Now they're thinking about getting their independence from so-called getting their own sovereignty, so to speak, from the Commonwealth, of Great Britain, because they're still tied to this damn British Empire going back how many centuries, man. Look at that. You got the land of Israel, 1948, which that's that's in the history books of when these so-called small hats, these Amalekite devils, took the land of the Lord's land, the land of Israel, and they're fighting over that land, different parts of that land to this day, that are Palestinians and so on and so forth, man, and Israelis. because the true inhabitants of that land, which is you tribes, are not in the Holy Land. You know, that's part of the curses. Deuteronomy 4 and 27, verse 28. The Lord said he was going to scatter us amongst all these different nations, where we're going to worship wood and stone, man. That's a curse. And then Deuteronomy 28 from the 15th verse on down tells you, man, lines out the, example by example of what would happen to the children of Israel, especially in these last days. You know, starting from like 70 AD up until now, because this is our last major captivity that we're ever going to be in. And these devils, these so-called white people, are going to pay for their ill-gotten acts, man, that they did against their so-called brethren, because we was once brethren, Jacob and Esau. And now, that covenant, that brotherly covenant has been broken, man. So now these devils got to pay for what they did to us, man. And they will pay. Queen Lizzie, her whole family line, all of them devils, man. These small hat rats, German converts acting like they're British, are going into slavery, man. And all their kinfolk are going into slavery with them. So anyway, we've got a list of countries here. And, this is what colonialism looks like, man. This is what colonization looks like. This is what, increasing that which is not his, neither keeping at home looks like, man. This is plain examples of what these Edomites done throughout their history, man. And now that, their chickens are coming home to roost. And it's only going to get worse for these devils, man, because they got 1,000 years of payback to pay to the children of Israel for what they did to us, man. Because they didn't enslave no damn Hamites, some Africans, that was, swinging from trees. They enslaved the apple of the Lord's eye, the children of Israel. Starting with your man Cristobal Colon, 1492, when these expeditions over to the New World, he enslaved the tribes of the Northern Kingdom, so-called Hispanic and Latino tribes, man. Gad and Reuben and all that, man, the indigenous tribes of that into that land, Native Americans and that. So these devils got a lot of history to pay for, man. A lot of blood's been spilt, and they got to pay that back. Real reparations is us putting you devils in captivity, man. Ain't no reparations of money or whatever, or land, whatever, is going to be enough. Your ass has got a taste of the sword. You got to get lynched. You got to get your backs torn up. You got to be disgraced and made fun of and ridiculed and all of that, just like we have been for how many centuries, man. And you're going to have to eat it too, and drink the dregs of that cup. Anyway, yeah, devils like this, King Charles, man, he's going into slavery, man. It's just funny how a picture just popped up. But they're going into slavery, man. These devils can enjoy it while they last, man. Lamentations 4 and 21 tells you what's going to happen to these Edomites, man. They're going to drink the dregs of that cup. And rightly so, man. Anyway, it's Jeremiah 50 and 12. It says, your mother shall be sore. Well, so verse 11, because that's the slavery part right there. It says, because you were glad, because you rejoiced, oh, you destroyers of mine heritage. Yeah, who destroyed the Lord's heritage? Took his people's identity, stole their land. These Edomites, man. They're the destroyers of the Lord's heritage, man, of you tribes. And they rejoiced when they did this. That's why they've been living off the backs of our free labor for how many centuries, man. And we're still in their hand to this day. We are yet this day in our captivity. This is because ye are grown as fat as the heifer at grass and as bellow as bulls. Yeah. Slavery was a cash cow for these devils, man. Straight up cash cow for these American Edomites and the British Edomites too. And all the other European counterparts, the Portuguese, the Spanish, all these devils that partook and made themselves fat and wealthy off the backs of the slaves and slavery, the transatlantic slave trade. They're the destroyers of the Lord's heritage. Then they're going to pay, man. It says, your mother shall be sore confounded. Who's the mother? Or the harlot? That sitteth upon the scarlet-coloured beast. It's America. And the mother represents the UK, Great Britain, because America was birthed or born from, Great Britain during the Revolutionary Wars and all that. And that was the 8th head that came up out of the 7. It says, she that bear you shall be ashamed. So eventually, this gonna, America and UK ain't gonna see eye to eye anymore, and it's gonna turn into a World War III type scenario, and they're gonna blow each other to smithereens. It says, behold, the hindermost part of the nation shall be a wilderness, a dry land and a desert. So destruction's coming, man. This is part of Esau Edom's punishment for what you did to the Lord's chosen people, man. Stealing the Lord's inheritance, stealing the destroyers of the Lord's heritage, which is the children of Israel, man. You tribes out there. Said payback's coming back, man. And payback is a bitch, man. Devil's gonna have to deal with that when the time comes, man. You ain't gonna get away with nothing. All the witches that you stole, all them gems, all the gold, the 4-ton gold carriers that you devil stole from West Africa, you gonna vomit all them riches up, man. Queen Lizzie and all that, all them gems and rocks that they got over there in Buckingham Palace and all that that's been stolen from around the four winds of the earth, especially over there in West Africa. You gonna vomit all that shit up, and then some, man, including yourselves. This is Habakkuk 2 and 4. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. It's talking about Esau, Edom, these so-called white people, and you can blatantly see that, man, because they're villains, man. They're a nation of villains. It says, but the just shall live by his faith. It says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. No one prouder than these Edomites, so-called white people, man. No other nation is prouder than them. It says, neither keepeth at home. It says, who enlargeth his desires hell and is as death. And a clear example is that map. The largest, neither keepeth at home, and the largest the desires hell. All the empires, that British Empire, and what they did over the whole span of how many centuries, man, colonizing the whole earth. Because they're a bunch of vagabonds and wanderers, man, fugitives on the run, going back to their predecessor Cain, their forefather Cain, man. The largest who desires hell, as you can see on that map, and it's as death, and that's what they did. They're the red horse that came to take peace from the earth. It says, and cannot be satisfied, and gathereth unto himself all people, gathereth unto himself all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And that's a clear example of that, man. Let me go back to that map. The truth is in the pudding, man, as they say. And you can clearly see that these devils enlarge to the desires hell. There's only by a certain span of time that these certain nations wanted to gain their independence, so to speak. But look what these devils took over. They took over the whole known world, man. The great British Empire. They did that. And they still own certain parts of this, certain kingdoms, so to speak. They still got a stronghold in some of them, the Commonwealth and all of that, So these devils got a lot to pay for, man. You are not going to escape the hand of the Lord, man. You're not going to escape the dregs of that cup. You transgressive by wine. You came with that Renaissance art, all that BS, Christianity, plantation Christianity, the other white meat, and you enslaved the whole world, man. Especially our people. The mindset of our people is totally destroyed because of you devils, man. So now all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe unto them that increaseth that which is not his. Yeah, and that's why all the history is coming out on these devils now. Of what you've done over a time span. How you're not so benevolent as you think you devils are. And, the Queen was part of a history of wickedness. Straight up, treachery and wickedness. Look what these devils did over there in Kenya, man. Starving the Kenyans out, man. Put them in concentration camps in their own land, so they could steal their resources, man. Massacre the whole villages. These devils got to pay for that, man. It says, and stole all the resources, man. It says, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, which now your empire's, seeing that heavy laden thick debt that you set up with a fraud monetary system, man. Fractional reserve banking and all that. Now your ass is getting the reward that you been searching for, man, which is death and destruction. Shall not these all rise up again suddenly that shall bite thee? Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Yes, now you're gonna reap what you sown. Them that sow wickedness reap the same. It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations. Yeah, you enslaved a whole bunch of nations, man, especially the Lord's chosen. It says, all the remnant of the people shall be spoiled thee. So we gonna spoil you. It says, because of the men's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and of them that dwell therein. Yes, you got a lot of blood on your hands. You devils, you think you're just gonna skate off into the sunset with your NWO agenda. You got another thing coming, mate. The Lord's setting you up for the greatest fall of man in the history of man. And you will pay, man. And your empire is going to be destroyed by way of nuclear fire. And that's only the beginning of you devil's sorrows, man. That's why the scripture says, woe unto you. Blessed is the Slakio, roughly paraphrasing, but better is the end of the thing than the beginning. Because your ending is basically our ending is basically your the beginning of your torture, man. Our ending of our slavery captivity is going to be the beginning of your destruction, man, because your kingdom's about to fall, and then you gotta pay back 1,000 years of hardcore slavery for what you did to the Lord's chosen people. So better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. So you devils got hell to pay, man. It says, woe unto him that coveteth and evil covetous to his house. That's what you devils have done. Ill-gotten gains, man. It says that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. So you devils are free, man. Verse 12, it says, woe unto him that buildeth a town with blood and established the city by iniquity. Just like the New World, America and all that, the British Empire and all that, you devils established all that by iniquity, man. And now you gotta pay for that. The Lord said, woe unto you, man, means the destruction. Behold, it is not for the Lord, is it not of the Lord of hosts that the people shall labor in very fire, and people shall weary themselves for very vanity? It says, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, and as the waters cover the sea. The truth has come out, man. It's gone around the four winds of the earth, and now the end shall come, man. And part of that is the shameful spewings upon you devils, man. So let me jump down. Verse 16 says, thou art filled with shame for glory. See, your history's coming back out on you, man. It's not all like, crocodile tears for this damn old bag that dropped dead, man. Fuck that, man. Which is all ritual sacrifices anyway. But these devils got, a hell of a lot of judgments coming towards them. Their sins have reached up to heaven. As the scripture says, man. It says, thou art filled with shame for glory, drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. So your shame and all your wickedness is being uncovered right now before the judgment. It says, the cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee. Yeah. What's the cup of the Lord's right hand? That's slavery. And shameful spirits shall be on thy glory. Yeah. Judgment, slavery. You're going into slavery, man. Whether you devils like it or not. Shameful spirits shall be on thy glory, man. So this is beautiful, man. This is how Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has a just power, man. Because we can't do it ourselves, man. We can't get, the Lord's going to, reprimand these devils, and we're going to get true reparations in the Lord's kingdom, man. When Yahushua returns. His name 3 and 1, woe to the bloody city, is all full of lies and robbery. The prey depart, if not, who's the prey? The tribes. We're still under this devil's hand. This is the noise of the whip. This is the noise of the rattling of the wheels, the prance of the horses, and of the prancing horses and the jumping chariots. This is the horseman lifted up the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain. This is a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpses. It says they stumble upon their corpses because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot. This is basically America, which is birthed out of the Great Britain, the British Empire. It says the mistress of witchcrafts that selleth nations slavery through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts. Which Esau, Edom, whether the American Edomites or British Edomites, they're heavy, thick laden in that witchcraft, man. They got all kind of witch covens over here and lodges over here in the UK, and over there in America. But definitely over here in the UK, they spawn that shit for centuries, man. Over here in the UK, man, going back to even the Dark Ages. It says, behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will shew the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. So that's what everyone's seeing right now. The shame of these Edomites, man. And they're not so benevolent, they're not so white like they claim themselves to be. They're really red. There's nothing righteous or holy about them, man. They're a bunch of serpents, man. They're a bunch of devils, man. And they're being exposed. There's a man of sin being revealed, man. The son of perdition. And they are going to pay for what they've done to the Lord's earth and to the Lord's chosen people, man. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee a vow, and will set thee as a gazing stock. So everyone's going to find out, man. Everyone's going to witness the fitness, man, and witness why these devils are being punished the way they are, because they're the devils that the Bible speaks of, man. The nation of evil, not a nation of evil, but a nation of serpents, man. So anyway, with that, I'm going to close out. Give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Achachodash, and Shalom to the elect.